So, good day everyone. So, welcome to our subject Principles and Theories of Language Acquisition. So, for today's recorded orientation, I will just give you an overview of the coverage of this subject for the whole semester and what are the guidelines and what are the policies that you must do and follow throughout the semester. So, let me just give you the course description of the principles and theories of language acquisition. So, by the way, I am Miss Regine F. Ernesto to those students who don't know me yet. So, this is the course description of our subject, the principles and theories of language acquisition. So, the language learning starts at birth. So, we all know about that. So, however, we wonder how children could possibly acquire language as such a complex skill with very little experience of life. So, Rice and Bruller and Specker stated that experiments have clearly identified an ability to distinguish syntactical shades of difference in every young infant, although they are still at the prelinguist stage. So, for example, children of 3 are able to handle very complicated syntactical sentences, although they are unable to tie their own shoelaces. So, how do children learn to speak? So this course will examine principles, factors, and context of language acquisition and learning based on theories and research findings. So for our subject matter for this course, we are targeting to, at the end of the semester, you will be able to identify various theories in first and second language acquisition. You can describe the stages of second language acquisition, and you can also differentiate between characteristics of language acquisition and language learning. So you will be able also to understand the different approaches and functions of language acquisition and learning. So for the coverage of this subject, we have chapter 1, which is the nature of language and learning, and we have lesson 1, definition and nature of language, lesson 2, nature of learning, lesson 3, language acquisition versus um, language learning, and lesson 4, the first language acquisition versus second language acquisition. So for the chapter 1, nature of language and learning, we will be able to define a language and learning, and we can also differentiate language learning from language acquisition and to understand the nature of learning. On chapter 2, we have the principles and theories of language acquisition and learning approaches. So we will be able to determine the theory of behaviorism, understand the behaviorism theory and language acquisition and learning, and to analyze the theory of behaviorist theory. So under chapter 2, we have lesson 5, which is the behaviorist theory, basic language learning, the stages in child language acquisition, cognitive theory, and we have the social interaction theory, nature versus nurture, and that's all for the coverage of the midterm examination. So again, until lesson 7 is the coverage of the midterm examination. So for the chapter 3, we have the principles and theories of language acquisition and learning, the functional approaches. So in this chapter, um, we identify the different language approaches under functional approach, understand the theory of holidays, and to discuss the theory of holidays and its importance in language acquisition and learning. So start from chapter 3, this is the coverage of our final examination. So under chapter 3, we have lesson 8, the instrumental function, the regulatory function, and the actional function. On lesson 9, we have the personal, representation, informative function, heuristic, and imaginative function. On chapter 4, we have the principles and theories of language acquisition and learning, philosophies of education. So in here, we recognize the common philosophies of education. We explain the involvement of philosophies of education in developing child's language acquisition and learning, and to analyze the theories of language learning presented by experts. So for this chapter, we have the lesson 10, which is the education philosophies. For the chapter 5, we have the principles and theories of language acquisition and learning. reading approach. So in here, we will define approach, we will understand why reading is important in language acquisition, and we will determine the different reading approaches in language. So under the chapter 5, we have the lesson 11, the importance of reading in language acquisition. We have the history of reading approach and different approaches in teaching reading. And we have the intensive and extensive reading. And now we will go to the final week or the final examination. So the first question is, what is the mode of learning? So usually we use online platforms. So for the quiz and attendance and performance, midterm and final examinations, we will be evaluated and monitored through using online platforms. So we will use the Google Forms, the Messenger, and the YouTube. So in terms of the quiz, the midterm, and the final examinations, we will use Google Forms. So make sure your Gmail account is active. You installed already your Google Form. So whenever I send you the link of the quiz, you are already prepared to take the quiz. For the messenger, this is the platform that we can use to communicate to each other. And then I will send you the recorded discussion via YouTube link. Next is, what will you do as a student? So you will religiously attend the online class in order to pass the subject. The schedule of an online class will consume of 1 hour, 30 minutes discussion, and 30 minutes quiz. So usually this, in reality, this is not implemented properly because the recorded discussion usually contain of more than 30 minutes. So what really happens is that I send the link of the recorded discussion and I will give you time to study and watch the discussion, and then by tomorrow or after 2 days I will send you the link of your quiz. And then study and pass the exams and quizzes. And if you have sickness or illness that prohibits you to use the online platform, you have to coordinate with your teacher. So in case you have conditions that prohibits you to use technologies or whatever online platforms that we have, please remind me and please message me in our group chat. And then the grading system, 50% for midterm examination and 50% for final examination, midterm coverage and finals, the coverage of your finals. So 25% for quizzes and 25% for midterm examination. So if you will not take any of our quizzes, it means you lost 25%. You lose 25% of your grade. Next is, these are my rules. So follow my instructions intently, attend the class regularly, and after the discussion, there's always a quiz. So please expect that after I send you the link of the recorded discussion, the day after or 2 days after, I will send the link of your quiz. So the midterm and final examination consists of 100 items. That is a multiple choice questions. And I'm very strict with the schedules and deadlines. So you must submit your performance activity on or before the deadline of submission. So all communications will be communicated only using our official messenger group chat and no personal message. So I want to remind everybody here in my class, I don't accommodate personal message. If you have concerns, if you have questions, don't send me personal message, please. Send it to our official group chat so I can reply back. So what happened if you didn't get quiz, midterm, or final examination on the set schedule? When quiz, you have to wait for the announcement of your teacher if she will give you a chance to take the quiz. When quiz, I don't usually give second chance. So if you miss one quiz, it means you don't have certain points to that certain quiz. When midterm and final examination, you have to wait for announcement of the special exam schedule. So midterm and final, I usually give a special examination once. So if you can't make it to the special exam, it means you have to retake that subject. And that's all for today's orientation regarding this subject. So I hope you understand it clearly, all my rules. And then again and again, if you have any questions, clarifications, concerns, you can send it to our official group chat. So thank you very much and see you guys to our next or to our lesson 1 to this course.